When I come back from shooting an event, I come to my laptop, and the first thing I do is not to charge anything, but to get all my cameras, take out the memory cards and put them on a new SSD drive. And also I've got like a raw backup drive, so I put it into two places to make sure I don't lose it. So plug these both in. I go into one of them and create a new folder of the name of the event, which was LiGHT 25. And then within that, I do two folders, photo raw and video raw. Copy and paste that into my backup drive. So I've got them ready. So when I look at the first memory cards, I look at both and I separate the photographs from the video. So this one, there wasn't any photographs. So I then look at the videos and put it in application order so I can separate the movie files from the other files. Drag them into that raw file and drag them into that raw file. So that's the first one done. And then I'll go through all the other cameras. And also I have an Insta360. I'll also plug that in and download my time lapses. While I'm downloading the files, I want to open my Final Cut Pro application. I then create a new library in Final Cut. Go to File, then a library, and then I want to save it not on my backup but in the other SD drive. I go into LiGHT 25 and then I just literally save it there, but I'm going to call it LiGHT 25. And if you can look over on the right, I like to have all my footage stored in library. The motion content, I want it in the motions template folder in the library, and then backups. Now that I've created a library for my new project, I'm going to go into the library on Final Cut Pro, and I'm going to start to move all the raw video footage into my library. Here's my library, LiGHT 25. That's it. And then, to be honest with you, I just drag and drop. So here we go. Go to my videos. Select all. The next thing I do is, while that's downloading into Final Cut Pro, I will create a couple of projects ready. So the first project, and I can do it in that event, is all of my B-roll. So I'm going to create a new project, and I'm just going to call it all B-roll. I want it to be 4K because all of my footage is 4K at 3840 by 2160. There we go. So there's all my B-roll, and once it's all downloaded, I'm going to drag it all in. I'm also going to create a new event because I'm doing a highlights video, but I'm also doing an interview video with one of the showrooms. So I'm going to create a new event, and I'm going to call it LiGHT's Project Interview. And it also says create a new project. So I'm going to say yes, create a new project. When I go back to the content that has the interview in it, you can see it right there. I don't need that inside the actual event of the LiGHT 25. So I'm going to move that into the other event. So I'm going to label this particular event LiGHT 25. I'm just going to go to all of the interview. There, that's all of it. And I'm going to drag it into where it says LiGHT Project. So if I go back to LiGHT 25, you can see that's actually disappeared because I don't need that in there. I'm going to go back into LiGHT 25, double click on my B-roll project, and I'm going to go through and select all. and then drag it all into my B-roll timeline. It's going to be long. Wow, it's 2 hours, but that is because I've got time lapses in there that I'm going to slow down and so on, so that's fine. So that's gone into there. That's all ready for me to look through. And I've got my interviews. So I would normally bring all the B-roll from the interview into that event, but because I'm going to be using it in the Light 25 highlights reel as well, I'm going to leave it in place. I now go through all of this B-roll, which is 2 hours worth, which is more than I normally do, and see what's worth keeping and what's not. And I literally go through B-roll 1, B-roll 2, and I gradually get it down and down and down. So what I'm left with is maybe 3 or 4 minutes of B-roll that I really like, and then I can start putting it in order. After a very early start this morning, I managed to get my 2 hours down to 33 minutes, down to yes, I'm down to 4 minutes 8 seconds, and it's looking quite nice actually. And I've got some lovely moving shots, and I've used my 14 on my FX3, which is an unusual lens to use because it's so wide. But what it does do, it just gives that feeling of movement and the scale of the design center. So close-ups, moving, wide shots, static, a real variety. And then in the middle here, I've already prepared it here. I've got sort of a split screen effect showing some different types of lighting. I'm probably going to go through one more time just to delete anywhere I've got sort of some similar shots. Then what I'm going to do is to go on to Epidemic sound that I use for my copyright-free music. My video's down to 2 minutes 41. I need to get it to just over a minute. But at this point, I'm now going to go into my copyright subscription Epidemic sound app, and I'm going to start. This is what I like to do. I like to choose a selection of music and start playing it until I find music that fits really well. So I'll play it while I'm actually looking at the video. So they've got here more of what you like. So I'm going to see what they've come up with. It's got to have the right tempo. And actually I still do a bit more cropping while I'm listening. It's actually quite nice, this one. If I like it, I then also favourite it. So like this track, this bit here, I'm actually going to do a quick ramping on it because I think it would look better. Let's try that. The way to do a vertical version, right click on the project and it says duplicate project as, and I change the video from 4K to vertical. I change the resolution to 4K resolution, and obviously I retitle it. And there's a little button here that says Smart Conform. The Smart Conform is a button that it will analyze the clips and it will try to shift the focus for each so that and what it thinks it should be. Once you put your timeline up for the vertical, if you select all your footage and you go down to Spatial Conform and click Fill, it will fill it all up ready. There we go. And what I tend to do is put it in the transform mode and like just go through it. Can you see that first one there? I think, okay, I need to move that over so that the light 24 is in the middle. Let's go to the next one. I just go and just make sure that things are at the place that I want them to be. They're in the middle. And then when there's not, or where they need slightly adjustments, then I will just move it over. So I've got, for example, light 25, my landscape version here. Make sure it's fully rendered. You've got a little tick over there. I go to export file. And for my landscape videos, I like to deliver them in 4K because I can. So I go into settings. I usually have the format under computer and I change it to 3840, 4K. And then I click next and then I click save. I do the same with vertical. However, for some reason with vertical, I think this works better on iPhones and so on if you have 1080 by 1920, the slightly smaller version. So that, and I save, and that's it. So anyway, here is the first draft of the video. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you found that helpful.